This episode of the Focus Action Results podcast is brought to you by Accelerate Performance, creators of the Focus Action Results course and the FAR Planner. Welcome to the podcast that promises you'll be much more productive with me, your host, Ralph Varcoe. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Focus Action Results podcast. Thank you very much for joining, and well, what a week it's been. We have had a great response to the quiz that we've provided on the Accelerate Performance website. It's a quiz that enables people to just understand what goal-getter personality type they are, ranging from the mighty ant all the way down to the sloth. And it's good fun, and you basically find out what personality type you are, and then there are recommendations about what you can do to become more ant. The ant being the character that gets the most done, the most focused, and the character that takes most action. So that we've been getting a great response from that, which is really encouraging, and people have been able to see which of the courses they can take, which are going to help them to actually improve the ability to focus and take action. So that's been an amazing week since we recorded the last podcast episode. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, it's all about those beliefs that people have that hold them back. There are people out there who would like to achieve something, and then they think, but I just don't believe I can do that. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not the sort of person that would ever be able to do this. So I'm going to give up. And that's a real shame, because those beliefs hold them back. And you know what? The reality is that most people can do the things that they want to do. The issue is that if they believe they can't, or if they believe something about themselves which says that it's just never going to be possible, guess what? It's not going to be possible, because your beliefs are so much part of who you are. They colour everything that you do. Your beliefs in your conscious mind will guide you and your unconscious to effectively sabotage your choices and the things that you want to achieve. So when I see people, they come and they talk about their goals, I will always go through a process with them to look at the whys and the wherefores, and the things that they believe about themselves. And it's really important at that point to question those beliefs. And it's really important to look at it from a different dimension. Right, so when somebody says, I believe I can't do that, you ask them, when did you decide that? And they look at me and they go, what do you mean, when did I decide that? And I say, well, you didn't, you weren't born believing that you couldn't do this particular thing. So at some point, you've made a decision. And that decision is that you're no good, or that you can't do it. You've made a conscious decision about yourself, which has become your belief. That's a really important thing to think about, right? So anytime we have a belief about something, a belief about ourselves, it's as a result of a decision that we've taken about something or about ourselves. And we have to track back and look at, why did that decision get made? What's the evidence that you're using to support that decision? So say you might go for some reason, I've done it, many people have, you say, oh yes, I fancy running for 4 hours, non-stop, 26 miles. I've done it a couple of times, and I swear to God I will never do it again. It's the worst thing ever, from mile 20 to 26, or 18 to 26. Absolutely the worst thing ever. But you get to the end of it and it's an amazing achievement, right? But you have to put in an awful lot of effort to get there. Now, many people don't want to put that effort in. and the desire to do it isn't great enough. But then there are some people that sit there going, I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. They have a belief about what they're capable of. And so that holds them back. But you look at it and you say, why do you think that? When did you make that decision? What do you mean? When did I make that decision? Well, when did you decide that you couldn't run? Well, I mean, at school, I tried to run and I just found that I wasn't able to, and I got really out of breath, and and then subsequently, I run for a bus, and I mean, it's just, I'm sitting there panting on the bus, and I just couldn't run, and oh God, also, just it's so boring. I just couldn't do the training. I just couldn't do it. I can barely run a kilometre, and I've seen that in the past. So I just know that I can't do it. Hey presto, they've made a decision based on a number of points of experience that they can't do it. And the reality is they can. So there's a whole process that we have to go through, which is around reframing and actually looking at it from a different perspective, and not saying, why do you think that? But you can look at it and say, well, for what purpose do you believe this? What does it do for you to stay in that state? It's quite an important point, because when somebody's made a decision about themselves or about something or about someone, there could be a good reason for it. And you could look for what that reason is. What does it do for them? What positively does it do for them? And you can also look for the reasons about how they could change that. So what I would say is that limiting beliefs, in summary, are beliefs about yourself. They could also be beliefs about others or beliefs about the world. So it's those three categories. And those beliefs limit your ability to do something. They limit your ability to move forwards. But going back to what I said, that limiting belief stems from a decision that was taken. So we look at the decision and then we try and reframe it. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with what reframing is, it's a really powerful technique. It's something which is used extensively in business, in therapy, and even in politics. When people have a view about something, think about it like this. It's a picture of the world, right? Everybody has their own picture, their own map of the world. When you're born, you have no experience. You get experience through things that you see, things that you learn, things that you feel, you hear, you taste, you smell, all of those sorts of things you pick up. And so you create your own version of what the world is, and what it looks like, what it feels like, how it operates. And that pattern, that picture, that map, if you like, is different for everybody on the planet. That's what makes it amazing to have, the human race, different people having different perspectives on things. Because none of us is right, we just have our own interpretation, our own pattern of what we've experienced in the world. So we have our own view, and you can think about it like this. Our view, our map of the world, has got a frame around it. It's our picture, and it's in a picture frame. Well, if you are always looking through your own eyes at the environment that you see and that you experience, it doesn't open you up to looking at things in a different way. But the process of reframing specifically does enable that to happen. So you consciously look at it from a different perspective. Either somebody helps you to do this by giving you an analogy or a story which is similar but has a different outcome or a different feeling to it, And that enables you to then kind of think, oh, actually, there might be a different way that I could look at this and I could feel about it. Or you can do it yourself by actually moving into a different perceptual position. So if you are the kind of person who is looking at the world through your own eyes, well, actually we're all the kind of person that does that, we look through our own eyes at a situation, you can gain a totally different perspective by saying, well, if I step away from looking at the world through my own eyes and I actually look at the situation from the perspective of the person I'm talking to, what does it mean and what does it feel from their perspective? Actually, I think that my behaviour is the right and relevant behaviour, but if I step out of it and I look at it from their perspective, actually, they could perceive me as being a bit aggressive or surly or argumentative or weak. It could be any number of things. But what you're doing is you're stepping out of your own frame and you're looking at it from somebody else's frame. There is another way of looking at it from a third perceptual position where you're actually looking at you and the other person you're interacting with, and you can be an impartial observer and you can essentially look at it totally dispassionately without any kind of emotion or any invested interest in the situation, because what you're doing is you're looking at yourself, your own behaviour, your own map of the world from a different position, and you're looking at that of somebody else, and you're able to kind of, go, well, actually, I think that the me in the picture actually isn't handling this particularly well, or could change that, or could tweak the other. I think the person that the me in the picture is talking to is behaving in that particular way. Now, actually, how do I change my own ability to interact with that person so that it achieves a good outcome for both people in that picture, i.e. the you that's in the picture and the person that you're interacting with. Now, that is one example of how you can reframe. You basically look at things with a different frame around them. And as I say, that can be because you're actually moving into a different perceptual position, you're actually imagining what it's like to be someone else and to experience it in the way that they experience it. Or it could be because somebody helps you to see things in a slightly different way because they've been helping you understand through the use of an analogy or a story. So reframing is a very powerful way, and you can, by the way, you can do reframing, you can reframe yourself. You can literally sit there and you can consciously decide to approach something and look at it from another angle. So I don't know, I could look at a situation where somebody has said something to me and I've got a bit cross about it, I'm getting a bit upset about it, and I could then try and approach it by looking at it from the other person's perspective, and I might realise, well, they didn't mean what I assumed they meant. They actually had said something which, when I look at it without my own emotion, was reasonable. They might have given me feedback on something and I didn't particularly like the feedback, but and I got upset about that. But in fact, that feedback was good feedback. And so looking at it from a different perspective, I can kind of go, oh, okay. And then I can remove the emotion from it. So that's a really important thing to be able to do. So when you have a limiting belief, first off, check when you made the decision. Because it is, or it was, a conscious decision for you to believe something about yourself, to believe something about someone else, or to believe something about the world. You decided that. There are no absolute truths in life. It is your map, your territory of the world, and you made a decision about something. Right? So a limiting belief comes from a limiting decision. Let's analyse and change the decision that you have made in the past. And one of the ways you can do that is by reframing, by looking from a different perspective. So this is one of the things that we talk about in the courses that we have online. It's one of the things we look at often in coaching, because people want to achieve things. They're finding it a little bit difficult. They're finding that they get stuck. And one of the things can be that there is a limiting belief or a limiting decision that is preventing them from moving forward. So what we'll do is we'll work it through, and we will get to the point where they understand that actually they can pretty much do what they want. They just need to understand what the tasks are that need to be done in order to get to the ultimate goal, and they need to understand that they've got to take action and go ahead and go through it in a methodical way. So we'll work to remove those limiting beliefs. So if you want to be a truly productive ninja, you want to be somebody who is achieving goals you never thought possible, one of the best things to do right up front is to remove any limiting beliefs, limiting decisions that you have made in the past. And if you want to find out a little bit more about that, then obviously you can get in touch with me. You can get in touch by going to the website and finding the contact details there. And I'll be only too happy to have a conversation with any of you about it. So that was today's session. Hopefully that has been useful, and we'll be back with another edition in a week or so's time. And hopefully by that stage you will have actually looked at what your limiting beliefs are and tried to work out when the decision was and what the decision was that you made about that, which is why you have that limiting belief, and you've started down the journey of actually changing those. So I'm really hoping this makes a positive difference to you, and if it does, let me know. Come to the website and provide some feedback. I would love to know if this has helped you. And I'd love to know if I can help you as well. So do get in touch. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, then please like it, please subscribe, please tell others about it so that they can benefit too. And I look forward to speaking to you on the next episode.
I hope that was helpful for you today and you enjoyed listening to the Focus Action Results podcast. If it was either helpful or enjoyable, or heaven forfend both, please subscribe, leave feedback, share with friends and family, and tweet it loud with the hashtag Focus Action Results podcast.